Jamerson, nice for you to have said yes and consented to be the guest on my Dr. M's vodcast. And you are from Jamaica.
That's correct.
Yeah, we got a lot in common. One thing, for example, is cricket, right? Okay, I know practically all your great players of yesterday's. I've seen them in action. Hall, Griffith, Gary Sobers, Clyde Lloyd, Rohan Kanai. You want me to name all of them? I've seen them play.
No. Yes.
And you know what? On my podcast, I got the 4 cricketing nations represented. India, that's for me. And then I got David Thompson from England. I got Patrick Ross from Australia. And I have you from the Caribbean islands.
Yes.
And I'm sure all my viewers from from US, cricket, and we got a saying that that's not cricket, that you know what it means. That's not cricket. We are all gentlemen and ladies, and we know our protocol. So standard work, let me do my standard work. Let me introduce you. And thank you very much for being there for me. Okay, so normally I get the wrong slide first, so bear with me.
No problem.
I got it right. Lucky day. So I'll take 3 minutes to tell you what I'm doing. I am not really into broadcasting. It was out of default that when the pandemic struck, and it struck all of us, so I don't have to explain that part of it. And then last year, September, October, November, somewhere around November was the first episode, so I'll be completing 1 year. One of the things that I've been practicing, continuous improvement, lean, call it whatever you want to, for the last 30 years. And one thing that struck me was, why wasn't it getting sustained? Why wasn't it? We get a good increase in productivity, quality, cost decrease, of course. We do everything, and then suddenly it just flatlined. That's a term that Mark Deluzio used, and he was the first guest on my episode. So I said, let's start this series, because how many books can you read? And believe me, what I wouldn't have read for the next 10 years, I got it in 42 episodes from various guests of mine. And you're going to share a lot of your knowledge to me, and I'm going to share it with my lean community across the globe. So that's why I said, I didn't use the word implement. I said only support and sustain continuous improvement processes. Okay, so here you go. And you're going to talk to us about building operational resilience. And that's very exciting for me. Why is it exciting? Is it's gels with what I'm saying, support and sustain. Resilience to me means that you hit you hit the mat and you get up. I mean, that's what resilience means to me, because being a boxer in my younger days, we know that how many punches, all body punches, and we do fall down and then we get back on our feet. And that's what resilience means to me. Am I defining that correctly?
I think you have put it very, very well, Dr. M. And I'm wondering, what haven't you done? We have heard about cricket, now we're hearing about boxing. I guess we learn more as the podcast continue.
I'll learn from you, young lady. And next time on CEO's podcast, you can invite me. Then you can listen to me. This is your day, lady. This is your day. So
I love it.
You are the CEO of Jamaica Productivity Centre, and well, you can talk about it right now, or you can talk about it when you start. But what is it all about?
Well, the Jamaica Productivity Centre is a unit within the Ministry of Labour and Social Security in Jamaica. So it's a government department, and we are charged with improving national productivity. So this is taking lean and continuous improvement to a national level. So we work with firms, individuals, organizations, we work with industries, and policymakers to build a more productive nation. So it's quite interesting, to be able to apply my skills, knowledge, and experience in Lean, Six Sigma, Agile project management, and merge it all together to improve our nation of Jamaica. So it has been quite and it was quite a journey, loving every bit of it. And I've been doing that since 2008. So I started off heading a unit that, provides a consultancy to both private and public sector. So in that role, I was able to help, close to 300 organizations improve their productivity levels, both their efficiency and effectiveness. And now as the CEO or the Chief Technical Director of that organization, I now have the privilege of expanding that, looking at programs, policies, research that can aid improvement in Jamaica. So it's really an exercise and quite the experience.
So if you ever want me to write a biography of yours, just let me know. I'll write it because I'm going to fill up volumes with all your experience.
And I continue to learn every day. I'm a firm believer in continuous improvement because there's always more that you can add to the knowledge. And like yourself, I saw a gap during the pandemic and started a podcast, and have, had some conversations with some amazing individuals, because during the pandemic, that's what I did. I used to, talk to persons, and I'm like, but this needs to be captured and shared with the world. The knowledge, wisdom, and skills, from one person can help another in another country, that's going through a problem and don't know where to start. So instead of recreating the wheel and going through, taking a long time to recover or to get back up, as you rightly said, why not share the wisdom and the superpowers of persons in the field with others that they can survive and thrive during this time. So like yourself, I've just celebrated 1 year. So it looked like we started about the same time. And it has just been a great experience, Dr. M.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Something about knowledge is the more you divide, it multiplies.
Yes. It's and an exponential increase as well. You don't even realize it, especially when you find persons of like minds, like energies. And when those energies combine, it's just cosmic, it's exponential energies that just create great things.
And you know that you follow me, right? I follow you. Sorry, I follow you. I follow you on all your podcasts. I follow you, and I don't hesitate to put all my comments. And it has been really very good. So this is where what you're talking about. Now I got all the 3 images of yours here. The CEO corner. I mean, if somebody asks me which is the real Tamar, I will say choose one of them. Yeah, all of them are the same individual. So
I would let me just say, Dr. M, that Tamar is Hebrew for palm tree or spice. And one thing that they say about spice is the variety of life. And one thing about me, I love variety. So I'm always, you won't say the same, Tamar. I'm continuously improving.
Yeah, so I will take I said the next episode, when I write your biography, we're going to deep dive into that part of it. But let's get on. Here we go. A master's in industrial and systems engineering. Good. That's really great. I mean, I swear, you are an embodiment of resilience because I can't. I mean, you have done your bachelor's in industrial engineering, and if it was not for your curiosity and hunger for knowledge and spreading knowledge around, you wouldn't have done your master's. And there you go. So you are an epitome of resilience too. I would know what all got into your way and how you went through the speed breakers. But nice to have you, and welcome to, and please do come to India. It's a lovely place. Okay. When
It's
I
on my
come,
bucket list. Definitely.
don't put it deep under that, as let it surface out. Okay. So you're going to talk to us about building operational resilience, and let me brand myself by saying you're on Dr. M's vodcast. And here we go, Tamar, all
Take it
yours.
away. All right. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Dr. M. It's really an honor to be on your esteemed podcast or podcast today. And I hope I will be able to share with your audience, some of what I have been able to learn and share, and that we all can grow from this exercise. And I do appreciate the branding coordination, Dr. M, with the red and black. I don't know, it looked like we got the same memo, right? But as Dr. M just said, of resilience, this is a word that has gotten a lot of attention, especially in the last 3 years or so. And one of the things that I realized during the pandemic was that operational resilience and sustainability is key for thriving and surviving in these times of disruption. So what I'll share with you is some of what I've been able to research, and hope that at the end of it all, you will have at least one takeaway that will help you on your own journey in terms of identifying, protecting, detecting, responding, and recovering during these times. So as Dr. M introduced me, I am the head of the Jamaica Productivity Centre, and I have been in the area of improvement for over 22 years, and loving every minute of it. I think at the core, I like to create a new way, a new path that builds on what exists, and have been just having a lot of fun helping others to grow and to solve operational issues. So, and you'll hear more about me as we go on, but we are now living in the age of disruption. So they are real, be it social, economic, climate, cyber related, and of course, medical or, pandemics. We have seen it all. And the fact is that we're going to see them happening at a higher frequency and a higher magnitude. We're going to be seen in different forms. So agility is going to be so important for us, in terms of how flexible and adaptable we are, and how we are able to get back up when we are knocked down. If we can reduce the blows that we get. So we know the blows are coming. If we can reduce the blows that we get, and we can strive to get up back quickly, then we will be in a better way. So we can't stop them from coming, but we can sure prepare ourselves for it. And that's what the whole point of operational resilience is. And, just some stats that came out of the Federal Emergency Management Agency in 2018. And I'm sure, these figures are about the same or more today, that 40% of companies do not reopen after a disaster. And 25% of those who start a business fail within the first year. 90% of businesses will fail in 2 years after a crisis. We are now at year 3. We are just coming out of a crisis. And we are seeing the changes that are happening in our space. We are seeing a couple of things. We're seeing companies have changed their models. Some have closed their doors. And we are seeing some are having layoffs right now. So there is a need for resiliency, especially in these times. And what we need to do is to move from a more reactive mode to a more responsive mode, where we are able to predict, prevent, and minimize these disruptions. And that's how we're going to thrive going forward. So, how does that impact, those listening in here? What that means is that all of us, with every crisis, there is an opportunity. So everyone has an opportunity. We just have to put on a different lens to see it and to open up ourselves to see, okay, what is it that exists? What is it that I can do, right? Because as we can see from the stats here, that those who have seen and responded well to a crisis, they gain a 22% premium in share value over those who don't. So we have to make the best of situations that may not be so comfortable to go through. And when we do so, we will see the gains for us and our shareholders. But we don't want to wait until a crisis to come up with a crisis plan, right? We have to do so before. So we have to start with our ultimate goal. And that will help to set the foundation for operational resilience. And when we are looking at resilience, it's not a project that we do. It's not a target that we reach and that's it. It's a journey. It's something that we build into the fabric of our organization, that it becomes a part of what we do and how we think and how we operate, and everyone in our organizations understands this, right? They all know what part they play in the big picture and contributes to this. So it's not something that, as the COO or the CEO or any C-suite, you alone sit and try to figure it out. No, but this is something that everyone participates in. And we are looking at a more holistic approach to doing so. So it's not just, this is just for operations, or this is only for procurement, or this is only for IT to look at, right? This is something that the entire organization needs to come together and to address. So, and the ultimate goal is to convert the assets that we have into profits. And that's how we increase productivity, right? We're increasing the conversion of our inputs into outputs, and to doing so with as little waste as possible, and positively impacting the lives of the people who are within the company or those whom we serve. Right? So, we go into the core of Kaizen and Lean, a more people-centric approach that looks at our customers and the people internally, right? So we're looking at how all of this comes together to create that outcome that we desire, right? So there are a lot of things, though, that prevents organizations from having these systems in place. And some of these may be familiar, and I'm sure others have spoken on the vodcast about some of these things. We're always so busy outing fires, right? We don't have time to work, on the business. So we're always working in the business, okay, we need to do that, we need to do that. No time to look at some future planning, right? Sometimes it's hard to get leadership approval or buy-in, especially when looking at improvement initiatives. They want quick things. They want things that go straight to the bottom line. Some of these things, because they are in the future, it's hard for them to really see the importance of doing so. And, oftentimes you'll have a middle manager that sees it, and then it's hard to get the leadership to buy it. Sometimes organizations just get burnt out, tired of these disruptions affecting the organization, and getting those hits, those blows, one after the other, as I say, in those fights, getting those jabs, and it's just hard to get up or to find the energy to continue fighting, right? Sometimes we find ourselves in a situation where, oh, we have tried everything and we are just out of our wits. We don't know what else to focus on, you know, and, you know, sometimes we know that, hey, I know what needs to be done, but I don't know how to take advantage of that opportunity. You know, how do I start? Where do I go? How do I begin? Who do I involve? So there are so many scenarios. And of course, the bureaucracies, we see silos, we see closed cultures and mindsets, and the costs are too high, or we just don't have the capabilities internally. And so sometimes nothing happens. You may have one or multiple factors affecting the organizations. But what I'm here to say is that, you know, we can achieve operational resilience in our business, even if we have some of these hindrances. But the benefits that we are going to gain from operational resilience will be well worth any you know, initial outlay that we may put in, right? It may mean survival. So what I have looked at, and you know, this is, you know, combining all of you know, a little bit of lean, a little bit of Kaizen, and lean, you know, Six Sigma, is to create a kind of framework for operational resiliency that looks at, you know, where we are now, some strategies to improve resiliency, and also how we can implement resiliency. So it's, you gave a definition for resiliency earlier, and this is another one, right? It's keeping the business and services running through any type of event, but particularly during this highly destructive extreme events. But the aim is to reduce the impact of those as much as possible and as quickly as possible, right? And so we have this diagram here that kind of depicts that. So we have resilience, you have the disruption, and there are different stages. So you have that absorption, you know, where you're wondering, okay, what's happening here? And then there's a recovery period when we try to, okay, get back up to where we were. But we can also adapt to the point where we can even exceed our initial performance. And that's what we see in there in the green. And what if after every disruption, we could learn and actually be better than we were before? That will be the ultimate aim. But what we see often is that we continue to go down in that red area, or the recovery, we don't get back up to exactly where we were pre the disruption, and struggle below that original line, right? So this is something that, you know, we can all strive for, and you know, building resilience into the fabric of the organization will help us to do so. So let me see what's happening here. Right, so there's about 10 steps that we have to mitigate and then penetrate, right? What we're doing is creating a plan to enable our organizations to be future facing and disruption ready. And this is the 10-point model that I have created, which looks at looking at the gaps as phase one, then looking at some strategies for operational resilience, and then implementation. And what I'll do, I'll go through each of these areas quickly, and then we can go into a discussion afterwards.
Sure.
So in phase one, this is like the discovery phase, where, you know, we're looking at where we are. And that's something in any assessment, is to look at the current situation, right? So it's a more holistic approach. And in this, we recognize any problems, identify areas that need attention first, and particularly what are the critical systems within the organization. And oftentimes we don't get a chance to look at what are the systems that are a must have, or if they are affected, are going to interrupt my operations significantly, right? And what we need to do is to heighten the knowledge and understanding around these areas, right? And look at what the gaps are, and to facilitate the development of specific plans to close these gaps. Because one of the things that disruptions highlight is your greatest area of weakness. So oftentimes when we are hit with any challenge or disruption of sorts, we should always pay attention to what it's telling us, because usually it points to the area of greatest need or greatest area for improvement. So that's something that I always encourage every organization to look at. So for example, if when the disruption hit, persons didn't know how to communicate, well, communication is something that you need to work on. Where your supply chains hit first, well, that's the area that you need to focus on. Did quality decrease during that time? Well, quality is the area that needs to be focused on first and foremost. So, did you have the IT infrastructure to support the organization during that time? If no, well, don't wait until the next one to come. Work on that and get it fixed, because this is going to empower your business, your team, to really continue to serve whenever another disruption happens. And then when another disruption happens, and I mean, they will happen, at least you'll have that fixed. It will point to another area that we need to work on. And that's the thing with continuous improvement, is that it's cyclical. So we are always going back to assess where we are and what needs to be done so that we can close those gaps. Phase 2 deals with now the strategies. So now, one of the things that I've come to realize is that no two organizations are the same. Everyone have their own unique DNA and fingerprint. And so, where they need to focus on will depend on their need, the culture, the people, what their gaps are. And so once you have made those assessments, it will determine, okay, what are the things that we need to focus on? And it may be that you focus on, three things, and you can use the Pareto principle, for example, to determine, okay, what are the top 3 things that are causing 80% of, the issues in my organization, and just focus on those. And, when you have a system or a framework that you're using, you're more strategic and deliberate in how you approach your improvement initiatives, and then you know what the outcome will be. Because if you are, there are always things to improve on, but how do you know which to start with? And having a system in place, a framework in place, you can have, a more measured focus that will help you now to be more strategic and deliberate, because now you're making decisions based on facts and not on a gut feeling, right? And that's what we want. So that's phase 2. And of course, phase 3 deals with transformation, because we're not just looking to have a project, but it's more a journey. And when it's in the fabric or in your DNA now, it's part of your culture. And it's the part of how you do things. Because what you don't want is to have the problem resurface,
Mm.
or the team, having to not know how to deal with it.
Mm.
Having gone through it, you have now empowered everyone to be able to deal with those problems now when they arise. So that means it's not a problem anymore, right? So we know what to do when this comes up.
Mm.
So we're looking for transformation, or, in the 5S, principle, the last S would be sustain, because that's what we want. We want to sustain the wins and to even replicate it in other areas so we can continue the transformation process of the entire organization, right? So that's it in a nutshell. So the phase one has 4 phases. And the first one is to really look at those business critical services, as I mentioned. And, this is not just looking at what's happening internally, but this includes third-party information processes and functions as well, because these can have a great impact on the company's operations and their need and how quickly they recover. So there needs to be that analysis done so that they can be identified and a resilience plan crafted in case of any disruptions there. There is also a need to have that macro map of all these systems, that this visual, this visual aids a persons now can understand each step, the inputs, the outputs, the linkages, because that knowledge within your team, within your organization is going to be power, right? And this is something that doesn't need to just be at the top, but again, flowing through the organization, right? So measurement and testing is again key. These, data is what we're going to help to make those informed decisions, right? And so, even if there is, no data that's present, something needs to be created to capture that information so that all the decisions are based on facts and not on perceptions, right? And this is how you're going to know if whatever you're implementing is working, because when you have a baseline, then you can add, see if it's going in the right direction, in the wrong direction, and then you know how to, tweak and change so that you get the outcome that you desire, right? And so when you look at that gap assessment now, it will really create a plan that looks at closing those gaps, right? So, we're looking at all areas of the business, looking at those critical business functions and then closing those gaps and having a plan to do so. So that's phase one. And phase two, now we're looking at some key strategic elements for resilience. And this looks at your customer experience and communication, which is key, right? One of the things when we were in Japan, as consultants, the customer is king. And for those who have ever visited Japan, you know that you'll get, some of the best customer service experience while you're there. And this is something that needs to continue. Even during a disruption, the customer needs to be informed, engaged, and to really continue to have that experience. So looking at not only your external customers, but your internal customers as well, and to see, has their needs changed? What is needed, or what would be some of their future needs, and build that into your program and your operations. Employee protection and engagement. So we're talking about health, safety, well-being, mental health, whether on or off the work site is going to be important during a disruption, because people are impacted, and we want to ensure that we have resilient teams, because resilient teams will build resilient organizations. So, looking at that and to ensure that that engagement continues is going to be key throughout the disruption and beyond. When it comes to disruptions, there may be hybrid situations that are necessary. Who goes, who stays, what are the systems in place? It are things that an organization really need to assess and to ensure that they are in place. And of course, technology. We can't, technology is a must if we want to grow and scale, and particularly during disruptive times. And the ninth point looks at revenue assurance. And when we are looking at even in a disruption or out of a disruption, we all want to make money. Businesses are in the business of making profits. And how can they assure that? How can they keep their costs low? What are the waste in the organization? What are the non-value added activities? What's the customer not willing to pay for? And have these been identified and removed from the system? This is always key, especially during recessionary periods, to look and see what are the costs? Can we bring those costs down? And how can we increase the revenues and to increase those margins in terms of the products or service provided? And of course, we look at transformation, where we are looking at the best way to go forward and the best outcomes and how to continue to have those wins and successes. So, in any business, time is the biggest currency that we have, right? Time is much more than money. They always say time is money. Time is a lot more valuable than money. So we want to ensure that we use this time wisely. And when it comes to resilience, time is key. So the quicker we respond, the quicker we recover, it's the more beneficial it is to the organization and the internal and external customers, right? And we don't have to have all the skills internally for it to work, right? Having a framework will help any organization because it's more systematic. And, we have to look at a holistic approach when it comes to building resilience, so that is more transformative. And with any improvement initiative, with anything that we're doing, we have to just start the journey, right? It's not a destination, it's a journey. So it's something that we just need to start and keep going. And the outcome of that will mean that we are disruption ready. We'll have solid global value chains. We are able to serve new markets, have the competitive edge, and even grow as an organization. So, that's in a nutshell. I think I want to leave some time for discussion now, Dr. M, where, if you have any questions based on what I have just shared, that we can have that conversation now, or any questions that you think the audience might have for me.
Yeah, I think, well, you can stop sharing, and there's one question that pops to mind. So if you can stop sharing, Tamar.
Yes.
There's not a question. I want a statement from you, an honest statement. Promise me that you're going to do 4 more episodes with me. I'll tell you why, because each of these 10 phases needs to be deep dived. So that's the first promise that you make. Am I using the word I promise? No, I didn't hear that. Okay, make instead of 4, I'll reduce it by 50%. Two. That time is currency, so at least 2 episodes.
I can't do that.
2 episodes more. This is only a curtain riser for introducing Tamar Nelson. So that she has promised 2 more episodes on Dr. M's podcast. Yes. Okay.
Boy, you really know how to get what you want done.
Say yes, because we need to deep dive. It's really, honestly, it is systematically put, and I really like it. And so that's the reason that I said I need to learn more. So
Sure.
I need, I need 2 more episodes from you. This is only curtain riser. Now, let me ask you the first question. You have been doing this podcast with COO, and I rarely get a COO on my podcast. Okay, so tell me one thing, honestly. These CEOs, what has been their response, and how do they adapt and ensure that the vital thing that you said is communication? Get everybody involved into how you're going to tackle the strategy. I'm sure the leaders are the first who comes to know that there's a disruption and they need to do something on both the ends. They have to look at the voice of the customer, that is delivery and what do you call quality, and then they have to look at the voice of the business. They have to make money. So and in disruption, both of them are affected, as you rightly said. So all the CEOs that you have interacted with, uh, tell me the magic sauce that they use, one or two of them, of how they communicate down the line, and how they love models, right? They like all models, and but then when the real rubber hits the gemba, right down, the leaders disappear. Or that's what they say, that the leaders disappear, but I don't know whether they disappear, because no CEO has ever come on my podcast. So let me know what is the feel that you get from the CEOs that you have interacted with. Do they really go down?
I have seen a mixed bag where that is concerned, Dr. M, but the ones that I have seen that have been successful are the ones that have taken a more team approach to
Mm,
solving the problem and not try to solve the problem themselves.
mm,
So they have either utilized their teams or find persons that are skilled in a particular area for assistance and to help them with their programs. Because I find that a lot of the CEOs were overwhelmed, particularly over the last 3 years or so.
mm,
And so what they have done is utilize a team approach to solving some of the issues,
mm.
and getting consultants to come in to assist them with other parts of the program
I
to
like that.
ensure that, yeah.
I like what you said. Is that if you're in the system, and that's not what I'm saying, is all what Deming is saying, that you need to look, when you look at this system, you need an external person to come and look at this. Are they willing to accept external consultants? The CEOs that
Some are,
the CEOs that
yes, some are, some
all they
are.
give you say that I know it all, I've done it all, I've seen it all.
Yes, but you'll agree, Dr. M, that especially now that model doesn't work very well. It can only take you so far, but if you're looking to really grow and scale your operations, you will need some assistance to get there, and you can't do it alone. That's one thing is for certain. You can't do it alone, and those who try to do it alone have seen the the gaps in doing so and have changed their ways. Because as I said before, disruptions are really going to put it to the test. So, when times are okay, yeah, you're a super person, you do everything and you run here, you run there, you fix this and you fix that. But when the disruptions are coming fast and furious, you have to have your teams ready and you have to have your plans ready. Right. And so what I've seen persons do is to even have fractional consultants that come on. So, a fractional COO. So CEOs will employ a fractional COO to help them create some of these plans and even build out their teams to be able to carry them through the disruption. Even if they can't afford a full-time person, they employ somebody on a fractional basis to assist them to get them to a certain point. And that has worked very, very well, especially now. And I'm seeing more of the C-suite roles becoming fractional roles. So that's something that organizations can consider.
Yeah, Tamar, now I didn't even know what model you're going to present. So I'm just going to give you whatever occurs to me off the cuff. Now, look, Tamar, the gravity in your kitchen is not different from the gravity in my kitchen, right? Whether you are in Caribbean islands or in India, the gravity remains the same. So I'm just asking you one question. When you, and both of us are in the consultancy business, and when I go to a client, they ask me, have you done this before? Show me the model, what you have done. Show me the success rate that you have done. Do you get that response?
Yes, yes. I think everybody wants the same thing, and they want to make sure that they are getting value for what they are doing, and they want to know that they have somebody.
My whole problem is what suits one company doesn't suit the other. I mean, people have been trying to copy Toyota all the way, and they have not been successful copying Toyota. Okay. And that's on the lighter note, because I was talking about the gravity. The issues with most of them we face are the similars. That's the reason I said the gravity is same. Let's come to technology part of it. Now, Mike Carnell and me, we covered in a couple of my other episodes, which is called the Cadence Life on the Fast Lane, where we talk about disruption, dystopia, and we talk about the Martek's Law, where the technology is taking double exponential rates, where the organizations taking the logarithmic rate, and there's a big gap. The technologies are available, but we were talking about how you fill up the gap, and you are spot on that every organization should adopt a technology that is suiting the culture and the people and the processes of for a particular resilience that you require. So, I mean, I like that part of it. That's the reason that I said I require minimum 4 episodes with you. So,
let me just add though on the technology piece that one of the things that I've seen in the organizations I've worked with is that many times they have technology tools and they're not utilizing them to their full capacity. So, you have the capabilities internally to really allow your systems to flow a lot better and to be more efficient and to have greater output. But we're not tapping into the full capabilities of the tools we have available. And then looking outside for other assistance. When we have a lot of times we have enough of what we need already. So, I always encourage persons to, try and maximize the capabilities of the resources that you have internally already, whether it be technology, your people, and then you build on that, and that will give you a great platform to, grow and scale to the next level. And when it comes to tech and so forth, or any innovation for that matter, it's good when you can look outside your industry, see what others are doing, and to apply some of those tools in your own situation. And, it will be an innovation for your organization. It may be something that is already there, but you can adapt it to your needs and get some great gains from it. So, that's something I always encourage persons.
I like what you said, because most of us spend billions and billions of dollars and get an ERP system, and they still work on Excel, and then they load it up, upload the Excel file on the ERP system, and even the Excel, they don't use 5% of its features. I mean, that's true. I'm sure it's true globally.
Yeah. But I mean, even just utilizing the full capabilities of the system. So like we're going to an organization and you see them they have an ERP system and they only use the inventory side, but not the procurement side. But if you have the accounting, the procurement, and the inventory all in one, then you are able to see more trends, have better forecasts, and have better service levels if you utilize the full package. Well, oftentimes they just use one piece and then they use another software for another piece and another stuff, and nothing talks to each other.
mm,
right?
mm,
So you're missing some of that vital information
mm,
that can help you to make some better decisions
mm,
and to make your life a lot easier as well. Because you don't want to spend time trying to pull from here, pull from there to get a good picture of what's happening. If everything is already integrated
mm,
and is seamless,
mm,
then that's where the beauty happens. You're able to have, your min-max level set at a,
mm,
particular point that you have a service levels of 90% and above all the time,
mm.
and that's what we want to see. It makes everyone happy when that happens.
I'll ask you a final question. I'm not going to talk about Kaizen, Lean. I'm not going to talk any of this. When the disruption takes place, you met so many of COOs, and you're the right person to for me to ask. There is a tendency of going straight into cost reduction. Now, I have a problem with that. Invariably, the finance people take over. I mean, you tell me your experience with CEOs does. So what they look at is cost. They start getting a scoreboard, and I'm talking the cricket terms. They get the scoreboards and they monitor the scoreboards. Then I wonder whether the game changes the scoreboard or the scoreboard has to change the game. So all what I'm trying to say is this. They see the scoreboard, the finance guys invariably are the top, or the management guys who come from the schools. They're there. I hope they visit the camper. Uh, and they look at the scoreboards. And what the first thing that they do for productivity is reduce the denominator. They go to reduce the number of people excess that you have and reduce that. I'm sorry. So your CEOs that you're into, I'm not going to get into CEO because that's a CEO corner, that's for you. But I'm sure you're going to tell us something about it. Are there the real tendency is to look at the scoreboard and try to change the game instead of changing the game to change the scoreboard? What is your experience and your CEO's experience? Is the gravity the same in West Indies and Caribbean islands?
Well, one thing is for sure, we all go through similar problems worldwide, and the more connected we are as you know, in the world, is the more similar the issues are. So of course, when we're looking at cost, the first thing to hit is people. But oftentimes there is, a lot of waste happening within our processes and our systems that, could yield a lot more than, hitting on the persons. But of course, if we're looking at, everything holistically and being reasonable, we can reorganize ourselves in a way that allows for more flow. It's because as an organization, I think if we're doing the same things that we were doing last year,
Mm,
we are behind. We are way behind,
mm,
right? The markets, the industries are in a rapid, growth
mm,
and change mode. And so as organizations, we also have to change our approach
mm,
almost as fast as they are changing to be able to keep up and to be able to meet the needs of those whom we serve. So we shouldn't be having the same operations or the same structure that we had 5 years ago, 10 years ago, meeting the needs of what's happening in this dispensation. So it may mean a reorganization of, how we grow or look at teams, what their focus is on as well. So for example, before, technology wasn't a must, now it is,
mm,
innovation, research and development.
mm,
So we may need to shift persons around.
mm,
So it doesn't mean that we definitely have to cut. It means a change in the focus
mm,
and where we look for things,
mm,
and to look at, a more lean operations in terms of, where are the waste happening? We have gone into organizations and seen, as you walk in to Gemba, you see the waste, you see where the money is just washing down the drain, literally. And you can tell, and oftentimes, especially when a company has been around for many years, they just add processes, oh, we need to do this, and they add a process without looking at the big picture and how everything integrates or flow between the different areas. And what that does is causes, more bottlenecks, more costs, decreased flow through the system, right? And all of that costs money. So the longer you take to go through the system, the more it's gonna cost the organization. So the higher your bill, right? So the more efficient you are, the quicker things flow through the organization, is the more the bill is going to go down. So we need to look at our systems, our processes, and see, where are the bottlenecks? What is holding up the flow of that product or service through the organization? That will definitely point to the areas of weakness and the areas that need to be addressed in terms of improvement and efficiency gains, and usually will lead to cost reductions. And I have experience when those bottlenecks are found, US millions of dollars worth of savings per month. And you don't even have to touch your people when you're finding those in your organization, right? And if you are even making your team, reorganizing your teams, sometimes what we have done is encourage the organizations to focus more on the customer experience and customer service, right? To build on that side of things, which works on your quality, your branding, etc., which builds engagement and loyalty, which will help to the organization to continue to grow. So those are just some of the things I've seen.
Tamar, and all the viewers of Dr. M's podcast, Tamar has promised minimum 2 episodes with me.
Okay, Dr. M, I'll be back.
Now that you said yes, now, the promises can be broken, commitment can't be broken. So you're giving a commitment of 2 more episodes, because we got to deep dive into many of these issues, which are very vital. And thank you very much for being on Dr. M's podcast and committing that you will be back for 2 more minimum. And then we take it forward from there. Thank you very much, Tamar. And I'm going to stop recording. And here we go, stop recording.